Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Beauty and Gratitude. I'm D'angelo Thompson. I have some great guests with me tonight. We have Dionne McCray, and she's going to talk about her brand, Ivy Jewel, which is beautiful handcrafted bags, accessories. And she comes from the tech world, actually, from Silicon Valley. And she'll talk about working in tech and also feeding her passion, which was creativity and sewing. And now she has this very successful brand that's growing out of the Bay Area. So definitely check it out. We have her on the Go Shop. So if you see some products that you like, you can definitely check her out on Go Shop. And that's Dionne McCray, Ivy Jewel. And I also have the love coach, Candice Harper, who I just adore. And we're going to talk about love, talk about reimagining your life in the 21st century, and so many other things. And of course, we'll chat about beauty and we'll chat about gratitude, and this is Women's History Month. So I wanted to have very powerful women on my podcast this month. And so far, so good, right? I hope you're happy with my choices, from Crystal McCurry McGuire, who we hope, and I actually know, she will be the future, First Lady of New York City. We also have Catherine Contos, who wrote the book Soul Shaker, about her journey through breast cancer and coming out on the other side. And not only breast cancer, but just dealing with emotional ups and downs of going through a divorce, the possibility of dying and raising a daughter, and how she came through that, So there's so much for you this month, and please tune in. And now I want to bring Candice Harper. Welcome.
Hello. Hello.
Hi. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yes.
Right? Since we're coast to coast. We're on different coasts.
Coast to coast, and you're a busy lady. It's hard to lock you in. I've been trying
to. I always say, ever since the pandemic, the love business is booming. I'm so busy.
And that's so true, because I've been dating more than ever in my life during the pandemic, and actually more quality individuals,
Really?
I feel like people are really evaluating what they want and where they want to be,
Yeah.
I'm finding that with my potentials, And also it makes you go within yourself. Like, I'm really doing some deep soul searching, Yeah. So, yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people are doing, which is making us quality individuals to date. I mean, people, so many of us who before all of this were sort of in our hustle lifestyle and just moving through time and moving through the day and didn't really have a reason to be introspective. All of a sudden we are. And so it does make us more viable for human connection and love.
I think that's the blessing of 2020. That's how I see it. Like, it made me want to connect more on deeper levels, and to let my friendships and my family members, my friends and my family members, know how much I love them and how much I want to be present for them. But also self-care and taking care of self as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I always say that self-care piece and that ability to fill yourself up first so you can overflow is very, very important, especially when it comes to family. Right?
Yeah, it's like preparing yourself, to go into the world. And 2020 has allowed many of us, but there's been a lot of death as well and sadness, but it also has allowed people to really elevate, and fill that cup so you can be there for your family. Even if it's challenging, you can be there for them,
Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. So what would a love coach say about 2020?
Well, I always say that, I'm striking very much a balance between understanding the gravity of a lot of people's situations, right? Understanding that this has just been a colossal shift in the world, and that for some people, it, has been a very like you said, a lot of people have lost people to COVID. It's been a very painful shift in the world. And with that said, being very aware of all of that on a personal level, the love business just exploded because of all of this. And so between coaching and matchmaking and, working with people around their self-relationship and what it means to actually connect in a humane and a human way, it has been one of the most amazing times of my life. And I know that's going to be such a weird thing to be saying about this.
No, it's not. It's not. Get it.
No, okay, good. Yeah, I really feel like I got to be really present to what it means to have blessings flow.
Mm-hmm.
I got to really see, my own humanity, and also be humbled in a way that I just have more gratitude than I ever had before, just because of everything that's going on. And also just all that has sort of sprung out of it. And I believe that with every hardship, everything we go through, there's always opportunity to be had, even the
Yes.
worst of things. And I know for some people that'll sound, like I'm being first world and flip about it. But I think out of even the darkest of situations, there can grow such light, and there's opportunity to be had. And that's what I feel like 2020 was for me. On a personal level.
I would agree. And I see every moment, good or bad, as an opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
An opportunity to learn, some interpersonal things I've chatted with you about, and you're always kind of my mirror, like, but what about? And I appreciate that, because now in my own life, I use that. Like, okay, what am I really hearing? Is it something that I'm wanting to hear, or something that I want to jump on? Or am I hearing correctly? Am I responding in love and in kind and with grace? I think gratitude, yes, is definitely a big thing for me forever, and grace, being able to know when to choose your battles, and when to just walk away and be like, you know what? We're not going to agree, but I love you, and that's it.
I think too, what you're pointing to is something that is a big component of emotional intelligence, but something that also the pandemic sort of inspired in more and more people is self-awareness.
Yes.
Like just that willingness to observe ourselves rather than, like you said, respond rather than react. It's like the willingness to observe ourselves often comes in hardship, because we start to ask, like, why is this happening? The moment you start to ask, why is this happening, whether it's in your own life or in the world, then you open up, that question opens up so much thought, if you allow the thought. And then self-reflection comes in, like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening in my country? Why is this happening in my world? That opens up a lot of self-awareness and self-reflection. And I think that what you're talking about is that journey of real self-awareness. Like, who am I being? And, why is what is.
It's true. And in the process of all of that, there's a lot of healing. Hence your business, the epichealingcircle.com, which really brings people to, really looking within, self-care. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started the Epic Healing Circle at the beginning of lockdown last year. So it was around, I think you were the last person that I actually had an outing with, was mid-March last year. So we're going on our year anniversary of the pandemic. So, what I was about to do before lockdown was just have a group coaching series. And then the pandemic happened, and I realized that for myself and for a lot of people that I would talk to, there just was a lot of fear, because we had no idea how long this was going to last, what it was going to mean. And so I started the Epic Healing Circle as a way to invite people for free to come and sit and talk about what they were dealing with. And the way that sort of evolved, that ended up being like a 26-week thing.
Wow.
And the way that it evolved, so many outshoots and topics and things that I hadn't even thought of came up during the course of all of those group sessions. And so I started the epichealingcircle.com website so that I could chunk it down into little courses that people could take of all the different things that came up. So right now we're working on fat shrinking emotional fitness. Yeah, so I'm teaching about how our emotions and how our mindset dictates what our body looks like.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Very, for men and women, for both.
For men and women, right? The way that we eat, the way we relate with food, the way we relate with stress and food, all of that stuff is what that course is about. And then the next one is going to be my mother, myself, which, not to Nancy Friday, but that's going to be all about the mother-daughter relationship and how to heal with your mother.
Wow.
Right. And I mean, you know, like you always, one thing I love about you, D'Angelo, is you always encourage me not to over genderize and to be inclusive. But this particular course, like the only reason that I'm keeping it very gender specific is only because it's really about my own journey. And so
many people,
yes. But like
yes.
the journey that I took and what I'm teaching is what I actually did. And some of the stuff just really doesn't necessarily apply to the male gender. Like when, you know, when I look back at, and the research that I've done about the mother-daughter relationship, the dynamic with the mother-son relationship, there's a lot of differences and nuances that is not necessarily a son, you know, sons have their own stuff. And at some point, maybe I'll get to that as well, but I probably would need partnership with that because that's not my personal experience, right?
That's interesting because I noticed the dynamic between my mom and my sister.
Yeah.
And my mom and my brothers and myself. And it's very interesting, you know, we're more friends.
Yeah.
I joke with her, we laugh, I like tell her about herself, but in a loving way, you know. My sister is like her sister and her daughter and many things. So the relationship kind of reverses itself often.
Yeah.
You know? And I find my mom is dressing more youthful, you know, because she kind of watches what my sister does and mimics. So it seems like a role reversal of sorts, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting symbiosis that happens with the same gendered parent. There's a very interesting symbiosis that can happen, and it can end up being a healthy symbiosis or an unhealthy one.
Yeah,
right? Or there's a point where the symbiosis is supposed to sort of taper off, and then it becomes a healthy friendship, or you know, a healthy competitive, healthy friendship relationship. But if the symbiosis never cuts off, it's like they're both wearing the same outfit. The mother's trying to be as young as the daughter. You know, the competition is still going on, right? They're sleeping with the same men.
Oh,
you know,
Lord.
Right? So yeah, and I would imagine with men and their sons, there's some level of, you know, dynamics that also.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I remember being a kid having like competitive moments with my stepfather. We clashed like a lion and a bull. We were like, you know, and I would say my younger brother had a more symbiotic relationship with him because they're a lot alike. Even like as I observe my younger brother getting older, I'm like, whoa, he's a lot like his dad. You know?
Turning into him, right?
Yeah. So I think, if you're aware, it's about awareness, I believe.
Yeah.
So beautiful, beautiful. So 21st century, you're an entrepreneur. You're constantly reinventing and creating classes and opportunities to learn and grow. Do you think that's what the 21st century is really about?
I do, in the sense that more than ever, and I feel like this has always been the case with entrepreneurship, if you are helping people with their pain and solving their problems, you will always eat. Like if you've come up with something that speaks to someone's emotional needs or the problems that they have or eases their pain, I feel like you'll always eat. I think now even more so, there's even way more opportunity for that. Because now it's not just the stories that we had and, you know, the different sort of emotional and mental things we were going through before the pandemic. Now the pandemic and racial injustice, which has become highlighted because of the pandemic, has added all these different layers on people's well-being. And so there's so much pain out there to be eased. There's so many problems out there to be solved. And I think, you know, when we take that sort of overview where it's like, where do I fit in? Who can I be? What can I solve? What can I fix for someone else?
Right.
Then you've stepped into the door of entrepreneurship. And if you can figure out what it is that you actually need to package and sell in order to have that happen, and you know it can effectively happen, you've made it. You know?
Yes, I see so many women, especially during the women I interviewed this month, just amazing entrepreneurs, authors, you know, designers, people who've gone through serious trauma and came out on the other side. I talked to a young lady named Caprice O'Brien. Her journey is just amazing. She can't remember anything past 19, you know? She had 2 major accidents in her life and had to relearn everything. And now she's a phenomenal personal trainer, has a book, etc. But it just goes to show you like how dynamic
Yeah.
how dynamic we can be, you know?
Absolutely.
Yes. Wow.
Absolutely. And how we have our own sort of survival and thrival kind of mechanisms within us, sometimes even when we don't even know it. Like the fact that her brain said, you're not going to remember anything before 19. That's a self-protective mechanism. Like there's something that just said, nope, not going to do it. We're very miraculous in that way, in our
We talked
self-preservation.
about that. That's so true. We talked about that, Caprice and I. So I know you have your seminars coming up soon. When is your class? When does it start?
Well, right now I'm doing the live version of Fat Shrinking Emotional Fitness. And so
Okay.
I will be launching the digital version, which will be available, you know, right now I keep the group small, but then once I put it as a digital course, anybody can take it at any time. But
Okay.
I'm launching that. The launch is end of March.
End of March. Perfect.
Yeah.
It'll be right when your show airs.
Exactly. Exactly. It'll be perfect.
You know, I always enjoyed talking to you. I've done love coaching with you, and you've been amazing for me. And even though that was many years ago, I still think about certain components. It
Yeah.
helps with communication for sure, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I notice when I'm dating right now, like sometimes I want to shut down. I'm
Yeah.
like, I started questioning, you know, using my inner Candice comes out, like, why are you shutting down? What's going
Yeah.
on? Like, you
Yeah.
know, what are you frustrated about? Are you articulating what you're frustrated about? You know, and it's been very helpful and very empowering, you know.
Yeah, that's good. I'm so glad to know that. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
because I think that, you know, we often, you know, can navigate through things feeling like we don't have that option. As soon as we know that we have the power to observe ourselves, question ourselves, and make a new choice, we can change anything that way, right?
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
I always say like my sort of tagline is heal the past, love yourself unconditionally, and start your love life over from a clean slate, or reset your love life, however you want to put it. And I feel like just that willingness to go through that evolution, and that was the work that we did. Remember, we did all the forgiveness work. The healing of the past gives us that portal to be able to just be in self-acceptance, so that when we're questioning ourselves, it's not like we have to shame ourselves. We don't have to
Right.
make ourselves wrong or be perfectionists with ourselves. We can just say, okay, you're feeling a little crazy right now. Maybe you need to lay down and take a nap. You know, it allows us to have that space without being like, oh, I feel crazy, life is over, which is a very unself-aware way to kind of deal with our emotions, right?
That is so powerful.
Right? You know, and it's what a lot of us do. We're just sort of like reacting to everything and, you know, thinking that it's all real. And we don't take a moment to say, well, wait a second, maybe I'm overreacting, or maybe I'm, you know, bringing something from the past. It makes all the difference in the world, just the willingness to question
That's
our
so true.
feelings.
That's so
Yeah.
true. I'm laughing because this weekend I had to take a nap because I was in that mode where I was getting really kind of like pacing. I'm like, D'Angelo, you're walking a lot. It's like, go take a nap. It's kind of like when your mom would tell you when you were a kid, go
Yes.
take a nap. And literally, I took a 3-hour nap because I needed a power nap, and I did it. And I woke up in such a better headspace.
Yeah.
You know? And then I started, of course, regenerating with like Abraham Hicks and listening to her over and over again. So that helps too, you know, like almost like reprogramming yourself, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
And all that you're talking about is self-parenting. Like you said,
yeah,
like
really,
mom
it
tells
really
you,
is.
it's self-parenting, right? Like, okay, baby, you need to eat something, lay down, listen to something positive, and you'll be fine.
It also helps that I know about emotional intelligence and
Yeah.
psychology and all those things as well, because those are the tools that I think that you use within your business, you know, as well as I do as well. Being a makeup artist, you definitely have to use those tools.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Absolutely.
So two things I have, two other questions is, what inspires you?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a great question,
Mhm.
because it is evolved over the years. When I used to be a creator, as far as you know, stuff in reality, you know me from art direction days. What used to inspire me is other aesthetics that I considered to be beautiful, like things that I would look at, and you know, if it was pretty enough colors and things like that.
Right.
But these days, as a creator of content, a creator of thought, a creator of curriculum, what really inspires me is just real emotion and honest emotion. So whenever I'm watching anything, or if I'm acting with someone, or if I'm observing people, like I am very inspired by anybody who can just rawly tell their truth. Rawly, I don't know if that's a word, but in a raw way, just tell their truth and say what's going on with them. And you know, when people are just in full self-expression. So I always like to use Beyonce, because I think she's a good example of somebody like Michael Jackson, who like when they get on stage, they just put it all on the floor. They leave it all on the floor. They're there to bring it, right? Yes. So anytime I'm seeing, not always performers, but anytime I'm seeing anybody who's just in their full self-expression, that is inspiring to me. Someone who's not self-conscious about what anybody thinks about it. They're just fully expressed. I'm always, that moves me to tears when I see something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Bringing it, and it's funny. It's like, I often tell myself that as well. Like when I have to do something, like bring it 200%. Yes. You know, you may be dead tired at the end, but bring it.
Yeah, like just leave it all there on the floor. Just yeah. And Wayne Dyer used to always say, "Don't die with your music in you."
Yes.
Right. And I love that, because no matter what you're applying it to, it's like when you give it everything you've got, there's going to be somebody who connects to it. You're going to speak to somebody. There's going to be a message in it, just by whatever it is. Even if you're digging ditches, if you are digging that ditch, like it means your life and it's everything to you, then it's going to affect some sort of major shift in the world. And that, you know, I think that that's the most inspiring and magical thing we can do.
And someone's paying attention, even when you're in that ditch. But if you're digging it with love and passion and laughing, I've met people that are not in my field. Yeah. They may be at a junior level or doing something completely different, but I'm like, wow, she's wiping down that chair like it's like
she cares.
Gold, you know? Right. And then I start asking questions like, hey, what's your dream? Like, what are you interested in? Like, you're walking around on this set. What about this set intrigues you? You know? And if they're interested in makeup, I try to navigate them the right direction to learn it, you know, and eventually be on set. If it's some other, you know, profession on set, I make sure they have a conversation with that person, at least gather the information, because I can see that the passion and the hard work is there, you know, which I think is very important, you know.
Absolutely.
Tell us what you're grateful for.
Oh, wow. So I am grateful for my health, especially in these times, and the strength of my body. Like, you know, I come from, and I feel like a lot of us come from, and in this culture, we're conditioned to feel that aging is something that means decomposition and, you know, loss and less than. And so I am very grateful to have a mindset that says that you get better as you get older, stronger as you get older. You know, I'm grateful for the smallest of things, like leafy green vegetables to eat every day. You know, not everybody has access to that in the world. And, you know, having enough potable water, not everybody has access to that. So grateful for that kind of, and I don't even mean that to sound like I'm being lofty, but, you know, I actually, and I think part of this is the pandemic, but I actually am just so present to that I'm here to play on this playground, and everything that is offered to me is a blessing, and I'm lucky to have it, no matter how small it is.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And all of us are deserving for it to be as big as it can be. Right.
Yes.
But yeah.
I agree with you.
All the little things.
I agree with you. I was, yesterday, the ocean was calling me, if that makes sense to you. Yeah. I was like, the ocean has been calling me for a week. And I was like, I need to do everything I need to do in the morning. And by 11 o'clock, take the train to Santa Monica, walk along the beach, find a beautiful cafe, you know, which is Casa del Mar. Yeah. You know, I sat there, I got a beautiful lunch. There was a nice breeze. There was hardly anyone there because of the pandemic, you know, got my computer out. I was writing, eating lunch. I was like, okay, this feels good. You know, and it's the little things, and that's a little bougie, but I personally needed that to make me realize that I'm still here, you know, amongst all the chaos and madness going on. But, you know, it is the little things that like having fresh water, which the people in Texas don't have right now, you
Exactly.
know, or
Exactly.
it's like Michigan, they haven't had for years.
Right.
You know,
That's
like
true.
little things, you know. So you're so right. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to just invite you not to even feel like it's bougie what you did, because I feel like whatever you can possibly do that has you in those moments, it's all good. You know what I mean? Like
That's how I'm going to do it going forward.
right?
So whoever's in my life, boo, get on the board.
Right? I love it.
Shit. No, I just want to thank you, Candice Harper, for being here. And Love Coach, you know, everything here, guys, is right below her name, you know, so you can follow the links on Instagram.
Yes.
And give us your website again, Candice.
So it's the epichealingcircle.com.
Thank you, epichealingcircle.com. And also you can watch her show on solivity.com, which is
Ask for Candy. And we're doing a very, I don't know if you've heard, we're like changing it up. We're doing a very special series for this new season. And it's going to
good.
be all about matchmaking. And we're going to do
Good.
like an elimination rounds. I'm going to be interviewing. I'm going to be making matches on the show.
Do a gay version of that.
Oh, absolutely. Right?
Solivity Magazine and Beyond Words Publishing is pleased to announce its latest charitable partner, the National Women's History Museum. Please join us in supporting this amazing organization.
Don't tell me I can't sit where I want.
Don't tell me I can't be an inventor. Don't tell me I can't be a soldier.
Don't tell me I can't be a movie star. I am Anna Mae Wong. I am Rosa Parks. I refuse to give up my bus seat to a white person.
I am Tabitha Babbitt. I invented the circular saw.
Don't tell me I can't fly.
Don't tell me I can't be an explorer. I am Sacagawea.
Don't tell me I can't be a scientist. I'm Gertie Teresa Corey. I won a Nobel Prize in Physiology.
I am Deborah Sampson.
Don't tell me I can't open my own business. I'm Estee Lauder. I started a global empire that now has $7 billion in annual sales.
I disguised myself as a man to fight in the Revolutionary War. Don't tell me I can't be a spy.
Don't tell me I can't be a journalist.
I am Mary Elizabeth Bowser.
I'm Amelia Earhart.
I starred in over 40 films from the silent era to the talkies.
I am Hovita Idar. I was an editor, a publisher, and I even founded my own newspaper.
During the Civil War, I was a maid for the Confederate president. He thought I was illiterate, but I actually had a photographic memory. I was shot twice in my first battle and removed the bullets myself.
These are just some of the women who have changed history. Don't let them be forgotten.
Become a member and support the
National Women's History
Museum. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
Please join us in supporting the National History Women's Museum. You can find out more information by going to solivity.com/support women's history.
Welcome back to Beauty and Gratitude. I have a very talented designer from the Bay Area. Her name is Dionne McCray, and her line is Eva, we'll find out, Jewel, by Dionne. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about her process, how you can get her beautiful jewelry, accessories, you name it, and some new items that are coming out. And as you know, we talk about beauty, and design is definitely an element of it. And we talk about gratitude, so how we're led to our creative process. So welcome, Dionne, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And I want to let everyone know that we have a Go Shop. So as we're talking, please check out our Go Shop on solivity.com. Dionne's work is there as well. So Dionne, I want to dive in. Tell me about the name.
Funny you should ask. The name of my shop when I first started was City Circlets. Terrible name. Don't know why I came up with that name. And I struggled with a name. And I realized the reason why I know how to sew, knit, the person who nurtured my creativity was my mother, and her name is Iva Jewel. So I named the company after her, Iva Jewel by Dionne. The actual logo is her actual real life handwriting signature.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's an ode to the person who has always encouraged me and taught me sewing, crocheting, knitting, the whole thing.
And therefore it's blessed, you know? It's blessed. Wow. You know, what is your creative process? Like, when did you start really designing? Were you really young or later in life?
Well, I was one of those children while in high school. I was about 5'7", size 10 foot, and all I had was a booty and couldn't find any clothes. Between shoes and clothes, my mother was going crazy. And she said, okay, I'm going to teach you how to sew. So all through high school, I made my clothes. So
Wow.
It started very young. And I was the girl who had like the fuchsia velvet, crushed velvet bodysuit before anyone had them, always kind of pushing the envelope. And I was the one black girl. I grew up in Orange County. I hated straight hair. So I always had either some type of curl or twist, something. So mother was like, well, that's what you want to do. Okay, she supported me. So from a very long age, I started sewing.
Yes.
And I made the move to tech, to Silicon Valley, too long ago for me to admit how old I am. And it became an outlet with all the stress that was happening. Crocheting and sewing became an outlet. And finally, a couple really good friends said, why aren't you selling these things? And I went, I don't have a good reason. And so it kind of started from there.
That's amazing. I was in Northern California when the first wave of Silicon Valley happened. So this is the mid-90s, I would say, mid-90s. And then in 99, I moved back to New York. And it's very interesting. I saw that whole wave and that huge burst. Did you live there then, or you got there later? Yeah, so that was definite.
Maybe 6 months before it crashed.
Wow. Okay. Okay. and then it resurfaced. So, which is a good thing, you know, in a big way.
Yes. Yes.
Very much so.
I am fortunate in that having a tech job has allowed me to self-fund my endeavors so far. So, and I've learned how to run businesses, being in startups and what have you in technology. So it's actually been good for me. As freshman as it can be today.
That's great. And that's interesting because as I work on set, you know, in the world of film and television, I also am able to self-fund my projects, you know, from my books to whatever I do, which is a good feeling.
Yes.
You know, not to have to borrow money or whatever to do what you do. That's true. I know we talked a little bit about, before this, your Southern influence, you know, New Orleans and the South. How much does that play into your designs?
It's always the undercurrent. My mother was very vain. I had braces when I was in the 4th grade because I had the first crooked tooth. She was like, she will not have crooked teeth. So the pageantry of celebrating femininity, but not in a way where you're put in a corner or you're told to be quiet, but the whole encompassing beauty of it from head to toe. So even today, I woke up, popped a little something on, but I have my accessories. I was never allowed to leave the house without earrings. So very traditional South. And so what I think about is when I design, because I like color, I like mixing patterns, but I also understand when you have all of that on, you're going to be making an entrance. And so I always imagine people carrying one of my bags and soon to be pieces of apparel, that they're the women who doesn't want to have to say a whole lot because she's that confident, but her bag will say it for you, which is to me very much walking into a big ball gown and just like the coming out balls. Just yourself and just walking away gracefully into the bar, to your chair. That's the inspiration and the imagery that I pull up on.
Yes, and it's interesting. I love jewelry too, statement pieces. I only wear one, but it's always like one little statement piece, and it always there's a conversation, right? Great accessories always trigger a great conversation. So
always. And it's funny because I've been in this industry for so long. There are people who have known me for over 20 years who'll still say, what kind of ring do you have on today? Or what necklace? Because they know it's going to be something big and different. And it works for you. I don't know how you do it, but it works for you. So yes, a statement piece is a must.
Yes. Wow. What inspires you?
What inspires me is it's twofold. And they're both challenges. It's challenging my creativity. So for instance, can I create something that is so unique and so interesting that someone will want to buy it and carry it and feel great doing so?
Yes.
So that's that challenge. And you talked about my process. It's chaotic. I kind of have this rough outline of what I want that collection to be or what it's inspired by. And I just go pull fabrics and then I match everything together. And because I work in a certain color hues, everything tends to work. So there's lots of editing. But the other thing that challenges me is on the business side. When I first started, I really just wanted to make really cool things that people wanted to buy. And I realized there's so much business on the side that happens as well. Telling the story, crafting the story, can you get people on board, all of those things. That also challenges me as well. So I get the best of both worlds, get to challenge both sides of my brain.
Wow, there is so much talent in California in general. I tell people that all the time. I've been here about 3 years from the East Coast, but I feel so charged with creative energy here, you know, and I feel like this part of the country, part of the world has a lot of that. You know, what do you find beautiful? What inspires you? You told me that, but what is beautiful to you?
I think so many different things, but I really appreciate people, men or women, who have created their own style or aesthetic.
Yes.
And they wear it. It's a thing that I appreciate because I look at like, that is creativity, that is beauty, you know, that person is unique and they're letting me know. And those are the people that I gravitate towards. You know, if you're someone like, I'm someone, if I have a coat and I see someone else in the same coat, I'll never wear that coat again. Because I don't want to look like anyone else. It's a very odd tick. Since I was a kid, my mother was just like, okay, I don't know what to do with you now. But I really appreciate originality. So what some of my drive is originality. So when I make a new bag, there's probably going to be no more than 10 per style. I can't guarantee you'll have the same combination of the lace and the fabric or the lining, because I want you to know no one else will ever, like, oh, only 10 other people who have this bag, because you are that unique, and I want you to celebrate that uniqueness and embrace it and let people know I'm not like the average people that you see here every day. So come correct.
That's a great selling point. I mean, I'm listening to you and I'm like, how am I going to promote this particular podcast? I'm like, I know you're giving me some good points. Thank you for that. What are you grateful for?
Yeah, I have to take a deep breath. I am grateful for all of the experiences and the people that I've met in my life, good or bad.
Yes.
Because they have helped me to get to the point where I'm confident. I'm like, I hear you, but that's your opinion. I'm going to keep going. But they've also, because they've been such great teachers, they've allowed me, or they've made me feel confident enough to teach other people. So in addition to my day job, my business, I'm starting what we nickname it Ivy Jewel Labs, but I'm starting to help other entrepreneurs. One thing that I found, especially with people being creative, is we get so involved in our pretty whatever that we forget that it still has to be sold.
Yes.
And having that, marrying those two is a little difficult, because I do tech by day and this by night. It's a little easier for me to understand where they're coming from to help them. And so I've been helping like a couple people out. You know, I've done things as I have a friend who's great at marketing. I'm giving her a scholarship to have her website set up so that she can start to sell her skills and her knowledge, because there's value there. And I'm doing other things like that slowly but surely.
Wow, this is amazing. And it's as you were talking earlier on, I was thinking that I'm like, she should have some kind of lab or something where there you go. So it's very interesting. You do have your community, right? Your tribe, and you feed into each other, and also creating, but having original pieces where 100 people don't have the same bag, you know, or 1,000 people, etc. One thing I wanted to talk about, I know we talked about your bags and your jewelry. You have some other things coming, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
So it's interesting you said that. My community, when the pandemic started, said, can you start making some clothes? Because I make little things for myself. And I went, that's really intimidating. Not that I couldn't do it, but the sizing and the materials and what would it look like? And I took a leap of faith and started, we're going to we have produced a jogger and a hoodie.
Wow. Okay.
I should have it here, but of course I don't.
Okay. Send me a photo and we can fold it into this conversation, which is great.
Yeah, we just took some photos. So I'll make Leah, just so you know, when you get a team of people, you get your tribe around you, they yell at you when you go outside of the line. So I'm not allowed to send anything anywhere until Leah checks.
Good. She's been great, by the way. I mean, she's been on top of it. And I thank you guys for signing up to our Go Shop because
I can't wait. But so the joggers, the hoodies, and again, people kept asking me to do head wraps. I didn't want to do a head wrap like anyone else, so I've sourced some material. This is kind of a sample. It's going to have a little bit more color, a little bit more woven, a little easier to work with. But again, I listen to my customers, my community, and I try to give them what they want with my little spin on it.
Wow. Thank you so much. Tell us how we can reach you, your Instagram, also your website.
You got it. First of all, again, thank you for having me. This was lovely. I enjoyed talking to you. We're followed on at Miss Iva Jewel on Instagram. The website is Iva, I-V-A, Jewel, JEWELL.com.
Perfect. And guys, you can see the links here. And also if you're on Instagram on solivity.com, you can also see it as well. So thank you. Thank you, Dionne.
Thank you. Thank you, Dionne.
Dionne McCray, guys, from the Bay Area. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So check out Ask for Candy on solivity.com, and also Dionne McCray, her line, Ivy Jewel, is on the Go Shop at Solivity. And check out my book, 100 Days of Gratitude. Thank each of you for tuning in tonight. I hope you got a lot of information and you're inspired. So thank you. Have a great evening.